Hey, how's it going, guys? Let's try to get the volume correct, so let me know if this sounds alright, or if we should lower or increase the mic volume. Good to see everybody. Evening to you guys as well. Thanks, Phobos. Very cool. We're going to go ahead and reveal the great screen of Scourge of War. But of course, this game has been out for a while, and it still has its fair share of fans, as you guys know very well. I play this game at least once a week, if not more. Regularly put it on my channel, things like that. It's just a really, really entertaining game. So we are going to get started here in a bit. Right now, we're just waiting for everybody to get here, and then we'll jump in. I think Muso can do a sort of poll deciding whether you guys want to see us play as Napoleon or his allies, or I should say the allies, not his allies. We'll sort of decide and go from there. Sure, Zach, we'll increase it a bit. Hold on. Let's see if that's better. Is that any better, Zach? You'll see. I mean, it's a game with a tremendous amount of units. It's, everything's to scale, more or less. So, you know, when you see the battlefield, you're basically seeing the actual battlefield of Waterloo. And you can play the entire battle. So, you know, you can actually just play, like, portions of the battle. You can control smaller units. I know a few of you guys, especially Dogs of War, he'll probably show up to the stream in a bit. You guys play a mode, I think it's called General Mode. I don't know too much about it, but essentially you can only see from the location of where your general can see, so you can only command units in his sight range. Sounds really, really difficult, but really fun as well, so I'm going to have to try that eventually. So there's definitely a community around this game, and I understand why. Good afternoon, Redster. Ooh, we should have gotten that. Thanks, SDF. Maybe you can give that to us. Muso can maybe save it so we can do it next time. We do like to play games with mods, and there are several mods for Waterloo. One of them, the one that SDF is talking about, actually increases the amount of units on screen. Now, it can lag the screen a bit. I've tried it before, so I do want to be careful. There's Dogs of War. Dogs of War, we were just talking about you, man. So actually, I was discussing with everybody here, which you were discussing with me yesterday, which was essentially I think it's called the General Mode in Napoleon Total, or excuse me, Scourge of War Waterloo. Very similar games, but I personally prefer Scourge, if not just for the historical realism and the number of units. This beats Napoleon any day. But can you tell us a little bit about that general sort of hits? That's what it's called. Thanks. Yeah, and explain that, because that seemed really interesting. And maybe, I'm not sure how we would set it up, but maybe for one of these streams in the future, we could try hits. And, you know, kind of let the viewers decide, you know, when we move our forces, when we fire, when we advance, etc., and basically give you guys, you know, the opportunity to command your own army. But I do want to set it up, and I want to learn it first. Headquarters in the saddle. Oh, that's cool. Yes, Muso is excellent. He's traveled across the land to Milan. He actually came from the deep, deep Antarctic, but he's traveled across to Milan just to moderate this stream. He's amazing. He really is. Yeah, it's definitely working, says Muso. You're the general, you're in the saddle, and cannot move away. Oh, wow, from that general unless you set it up in the options. Wow, so... And essentially, can you, you see what the general can see. Now, can you order units to do things, or do you have to switch to that unit and see it from their perspective to move? Yeah, it sounds very cool. Haha, me too. Don't worry, Gamer Hudson. I'm actually going to be uploading some videos on my channel later, doing a Chechnya campaign, and I want to see how I do as the Russians. In the Operational Art of War 4. I don't know how well I'm going to do, but I'm going to try my best. Ah, Damien, so are you not a fan of the hit system? Ah, you stay with the general. Interesting. So you basically have to keep the general near the troops you're moving, sort of thing. It sounds fun, especially if you're doing it, you know, with a lot of people, on some sort of, like, mic chat channel. Alright, my friends, Muso, I need you to please, create a little one of your excellent, polls, and basically what the poll is going to say is Napoleons or allies. Napoleonic or allies. So basically we can either play as the Napoleonic side, the French side in this case, or we can play as the allies, against Napoleon, and that would be the Dutch, the British, and also the Prussians. Now, of course, there were a lot of other allies fighting Napoleon at the time, but those were the three at this particular Battle of Waterloo that were around. And actually, I'm not even sure if the Dutch were there as mercenaries or if they were there officially. I believe it was just the Prussians and the English, so the Dutch might actually be English units, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Muso. I'm voting too. That's what you guys don't know. I also vote. Oh, okay. It's pretty even right now. Have to see. Oui, Napoleon. Come on. You can do it. Oh, yeah. We got a lot of people wanting Napoleon. And I totally call. Wait a minute. 3 for the Allies? We'll give them a minute, Muso, because this one's pretty close. The Prussians, yeah. The Prussians are really great. And, of course, thanks, Redster. But of course, with the Prussians, you know, there's that deep Prussian military history, and, you know, really just, like, very, very strong officer class, a lot of dueling going on between them, so the Prussians can be really, really nasty. I'd never played History of the War Napoleon, so that would actually be a cool game to check out. I've never played it myself. Of course, I played Napoleon Total War, a few other Napoleonic games that really didn't catch my attention, but it was really only until I played Scourge of War Waterloo that I was really like, oh, this is what I want to be playing. Let's take a look here. Let's see the vote results. And it looks like the Napoleonic side won by 2 votes. Well, this is kind of a democracy, kind of, sort of, so we're going to be playing as the Napoleonic side, guys, initially. Now, I have taken the sound away, the music away, I should say, and I could put it back. It's very nice, but it's kind of going to interfere and stuff, so we're going to go ahead and jump into Waterloo battles. Now, if you want, you can go for the sandbox campaign. We're not going to be doing that today because there's so much content just in the Waterloo battles alone. Also, keep this in mind, boys and girls, we've got all of the mods for the game. So I've got the Gold Edition, and if you don't have the Gold Edition, what is wrong with you? Go buy it right now. Go immediately. So we're going to just go with the standard game right now, but we could jump into Quatre Bras, Ligny, and Wavre. They're all great. I think my favorite is probably going to be Quatre Bras. Wavre is also really nice. Waterloo Allied or Waterloo French. Here we go. So we're going to start with a brigade. And I think we'll go for 12 p.m. No, I don't like attacking the forts. Okay, now here we go. The Cantelons attack is what we're going to be doing, guys. Now, this is a major attack. You're going to see a lot of units on the field, and we're going to have to basically lead them little by little. Raise high the black flags, my children. Oh, no pity. Blucher. Blucher is awesome. No pity. Gotta love that Prussian metal. Just the Prussians, you know, at the time period were just really, really great fighters. Not one to run away from a fight at all. I mean, the Napoleonic armies were up against some serious foes. I really do have to give Napoleon credit just for standing up to these foes, but I don't think, honestly, Napoleon ever stood a chance. I know a lot of people, especially in the forums, are always like, oh, yeah, Napoleon could have conquered all of Europe, this, that. No, I don't think so. It would have been interesting, though. Mon General, begin your attack on the enemy left, strike them aggressively, and discover the strength of their defenses. Alright, so as you can see, we're receiving a message from Napoleon, okay? We're not actually Napoleon right now. Now, we could play as him, believe it or not. First things first, that fort is going to be occupied, 100% certain on that. I'm going to be moving my artillery up right here. So let's just go ahead and line them up nice and neat. We're going to do the same here with our infantry. This infantry unit is going to focus entirely on the fort. Now, if you guys want to give advice, please do, because one of the biggest difficulties I have in the game is taking forts, believe it or not. I try to charge in, and the men don't go. They basically just fire at the fort until the enemy finally decides they've had enough and they leave. And I guess this makes sense, especially in this time period. You know, when you took a fortified location, it was very easy to defend it if you had enough firepower and enough men. And you could hold out against much larger forces for quite an extended period of time. Now let's start moving the rest of our forces here. Pour Napoleon! Vive la France! Let's go, men! We're also going to move all of our cannons up, because I don't think they need to be all the way back here. They can actually move up a bit. We can get a bit closer to the enemy. I think that closer is going to increase damage. You know, certainly reason would suggest that to be the case. Alright, let's go ahead and move up. Here we go. Grab these units as well, and as you can see, we're hitting the enemy all across the front. Maybe we should focus entirely on the left, but I don't think that's going to work. There's also a victory point over there on top of the center, so I think we have to focus on both. So there we go. Forward, my children. Forward to victory. There we go. Those cannons are firing away. Let's move another one up. And as you can see, this game takes a while to develop. It's not just, you know, instant gratification. These guys have to walk all the way to the battle. And just like I said, to scale. I mean, just look at that. Look at the amount of soldiers here. And when we start seeing bodies dropping on the field, you guys are going to be amazed. Because right here, you can just see the scale of the army is huge. It's massive. All right, I think we're getting up on the fort. And we got to be careful because occasionally the British, yep, there we go. They'll have some defenders here. Sure enough, that's exactly what they're doing right now. So I'm actually going to keep this unit back, the general back, because I don't want him getting shot. And yes, you can lose your generals in this game. Although it is much harder to shoot a general off his horse, it's much more likely that the general will get attacked by the enemy and bayoneted. That's much more likely. Of course, you still get the occasional kill shot on a general. Alright, so as you can see, just as I expected, they're going right in the fort. Pretty standard operating procedure for the enemy in this battle. Alright, let's take a look here at the chat. Awesome, Cable. It's your first time seeing the game. Very cool. Indeed. Hit the fort with artillery. Yes, certainly. Keep the men back in line, then move them forward to fire on the fort. Ah, okay. Oh, interesting. So the general responds. So I didn't know that. That's very cool. Very thanks, Laird. So Laird is liking it. I think we've got another Scourge of War fan here, guys. Very cool. This is definitely a fun game. Absolutely. Visually stunning. Absolutely visually stunning. Okay, move forward, men. You can also see the names of each individual sort of battalion. We've got the Légère 2nd Armée Battalion, the Brigade Schmitz, the 17e de Ligne, the 1st Battalion. So just a number of them. And if you look at their flags, they have actually the names of battles that Napoleon has won in the past. Or battles, I think, that they've actually participated in, if I'm not mistaken. So, lets you know, basically, the amount of experience a unit has, sort of. Some of these units have been in every single battle that Napoleon has fought. Others, not so much. Forward! Alright, here we go. So, at this point, we're getting that arty close to the fort. Maybe not close enough. It's definitely firing at the fort. But I think I want to move this artillery up a bit more. So I'm going to move this guy right here. Oh, sorry. Wrong guy. There we go. There he is. Capitaine Joseph Guillem. Forward, boys. Alright, guys. We are approaching the fort. This is going to be the first point of contact for our men, and it's not a fun point of contact. These guys have cover. They can hide behind the tiles of this particular building. And I think much like Dogs of War says, unless we use artillery, it's going to be very hard to get them out. Wigram. Zoom up a bit here. You can also get a nice little overhead view if that's your thing. Personally, I've always liked the overhead view, not in this game, but in other games. For instance, my favorite GTA, surprisingly, is GTA 2, because of that overhead sort of bird's eye view. It's just really fun for me. But in this particular game, in Napoleon, or in Scourge of War, Waterloo, I do like, if I'm looking especially at the Napoleonic side, I like to be looking at them really close up, because let's just take a look at these uniforms. You actually see a difference in each individual uniform. They don't all look the same, and, you know, that's something that movies and even sort of historical documentaries often get wrong, is everybody looks exactly alike. That's not the case. You know, several, you know, units would look different on the field. There would be a variety of different colors. Of course, if you were playing as the French, blue would be the primary color for the most part. Blue or white. Here we go. Forward. I believe we spotted the enemy. We definitely have them. I'm going to halt these guys, and they're going to commence firing. Same with these guys right here. They're going to commence firing as well. Now, we can actually order volley fire. I really like this. What this does is basically orders them all to halt their fire until they're all reloaded and deliver one stunning blow to the enemy. Or we could allow them to fire at will, which basically just means exactly what it sounds like. They get to just shoot whenever they want. We're going to go ahead. There we go. There's a nice little bit of volley fire there, but now I'm going to let them fire at will. And we're just going to take a look, make sure the rest of our army is still moving. Yes, it is. Oui, it is advancing towards the enemy. So you guys see that central point right there? That's the point we have to take. There's a Prussian flag on top and a British flag on the bottom. That's definitely a point of a victory point, and so is this one right here. And we can tell by the bugle on top of the building that this is a point that's being contested. I believe they also have on the far right over here another point that we have to take. So we basically have to take the whole field. This is not going to be easy. So Jay Sparrow is saying 45 euros is very expensive for what it offers. I'm going to disagree just a little bit, Jay, and of course I work for the company, so, you know, of course, it's my job to disagree, number one. But I'm going to defend Scourge specifically, and here's why. If you get the gold edition, you get Wavre, you get Ligny, and you get Quatre Bras. The initial game just by itself already has a ton of content. With those additional DLC, you have a game that you could play for weeks. I mean, and I don't mean play for weeks, you know, just for fun. I mean, you could literally play the game for weeks without seeing all the content. You know, you play the entire battle of Waterloo, the entire battle of Coice, etc. It can be really, really time-consuming. I'm not even sure if we started the Battle of Waterloo that we could finish that over a week of streaming. So, for instance, if we streamed 1 hour a day and played the entire battle, I don't think we'd finish it by the end of the week. We'd probably be about a third of the way through if we were playing correctly. If we were not, we'd be probably a quarter of the way through. Let's take a look here. Yes, that's another thing that Dogs of War mentioned. It is on sale quite often. Yeah, Brooding Phobos, absolutely. I mean, that's a really good point. Very, very few that do this battle justice. Yeah, Dogs of War 600 hours on Steam, my goodness. Yeah, I know Dogs of War really loves this game. Right, we're going to put these guys on the left flank over here, just so that I get more shots on the fort there. I also love the gunpowder in this game. The gunpowder is very realistic. I'm not sure how many of you have actually been around real gunpowder, specifically black powder, and sort of seen what happens when, you know, you fire like a black powder musket or a black powder, you know, pistol or something like this. Now, I've never actually fired one myself, but I have been in the presence of a historical reenactor firing one. And the reenactment of the gunpowder is very realistic here. You know, often in modern combat, the bullets, the gunpowder sort of dissipates. You can still smell it in the air, of course, but with that black powder, you've just got plumes of smoke rising up over the battlefield, and you definitely know that that particular projectile could potentially kill you. Let's move over here with these guys as well. I don't want to focus too many men on this fort, but we unfortunately have to take it one way or the other. Oh, yes, absolutely. And I think this is superior to Napoleon Total War in a number of ways. This also has a campaign, matter of fact. I don't really do the campaign because I have too much fun playing the battles just by themselves. But in terms of just sheer numbers, if you did this with Napoleon Total War, if you put this many units on a battlefield, I think, number one, your game would crash, probably. Number two, you probably wouldn't be able to. And number three, you would be lagging something absolutely awful. So it's just not worth it. Now, here we go. We are approaching the first line, and as you can see, they're actually laying on the ground. This is the Bataillon Nord. This is what I was a bit confused about, and what the history buffs here on the channel can help with. So this is a Dutch battalion. So I'm wondering, who are they fighting for? Are they actually fighting for the Dutch? I don't think they are. I can't remember if it's the Queen or the King at this time in England was Dutch, I believe. So perhaps these are mercenaries of some sort. But we'll let you... The Grognards especially will be able to sort me out if I'm wrong on this. But they're laying down to avoid some artillery fire. And we've also got some British troops there on the left. Ooh, I didn't see those guys. Let's send some men over there, too. So we're splitting our men up a bit here. But I think it's for a good cause. We can already see some enemy casualties. Looking very nice. And I think I'm going to take these guys right here. Brigade Schmitz. I believe this might be a non-French brigade. Brigade Schmitz, or at least led by a German. Or led by a Prussian, I should say. Germany didn't exist. Here we go. Look at that. Oh, wow. We're already getting a ton of casualties here on the enemy. And they're definitely going for volley fire. I can see that. Oh, there's another one down. Yeah, we're going to be knocking these guys down left and right. We've also got some pretty good support there from the artillery. And you can actually see some artillery bursts up in the air that look really nice. I want to get these guys to go over here. We want to be careful. We don't want to overextend ourselves, but at the same time, we also don't want to get bunched up. We want to make sure that we're attacking equally on each front. So, for instance, over here. Oh, no, they're already firing, but I want to get them in front of our general. Move back here, you fool. Actually, these guys can fire already. And now we've got a true line. I usually zoom out at this point just to get everybody in line. Those guys, yep, definitely volley fire. You could actually see the gunpowder just popping up. Dutch and Belgians were allied with the British. Thank you, Wavell. Very cool. I don't know how Scourge of War Waterloo works, so I can't start bets. Musso, for this one, you're absolutely safe to start bets. However, I would not recommend betting on me in this particular engagement. This is a tough fight. This is Count d'Erlon's attack, and it's a tough one. I mean, in this one, we're really commanding multiple different groups of units. You can actually just play with, you know, one commander commanding 3 or 4 of these battalions if you want, if that makes you more comfortable. I always recommend new players to Scourge of War Waterloo to do that. Don't start with a battle like this, because you're going to be overwhelmed. Even I get overwhelmed if I'm not paying attention 100% of the time. And as you guys can imagine, when you're doing the stream, it is a lot harder to pay attention, because you're trying to entertain people on one hand, and on the other hand, you're trying to win. So it's not easy. Now, it looks like there's another fort over there. I'm going to try and grab this general with my Eagle Vision. No, my Eagle Vision is awful, and besides, we don't control that unit. So actually, we're not going to worry about that. That's actually controlled by the AI, and you can tell because we did not even get to select it. Let's go ahead and move forward here. And come on, men. Pour la France! Let's get up on our men and see how they're doing. I'm leaving that general out there in the open. I don't care what anybody thinks. I need him to show his bravery. True stupidity of the era. Our boys are definitely taking a hit, but they're managing to stand their ground. And I'm going to order these guys actually to do volley fire. So this way, when they fire, it's going to be a bit more powerful. It's going to take a little longer to start dishing out any damage, but it's going to be pretty effective in the way it works. Actually, let's grab these guys. You can also speed your troops up if you want. Just right-click and select the speed up button. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that too much. You can probably imagine that that's going to tire a unit out. But look at this, for instance. This unit, the 25th de Ligne, Brigade Grenier, has been in almost every single battle that Napoleon has fought. So this is a really, really serious unit. You could tell that they're going to do a decent job. We could also charge the line if we want, and at that point our men take out their bayonets. But I don't think we really need to right now. Although the enemy definitely has better cover than we do, I think we can overwhelm them with numbers alone. So we'll have to see how that goes. How are we faring against the British on the left? Alright, nice. Not bad. Well, sort of. We're actually not doing anything to the British on the left. Let's move up. Here we go. They are firing at us. Forward, boys. Now this unit right here is getting completely crushed. Keep in mind, this is not just about numbers. You know, you don't win a battle in the Napoleonic era by killing more of your enemy than they do of you. A lot of this has to do with the location that you held by the end of the battle. So this unit is doing an incredible job. I've got to tip my hat to them. The Bataillon Nord, they're holding on against us for a really long time and basically delaying our attack against that victory point. Come on, boys. Oh, one of the boys just took a hit right to the head. My goodness. You can make it, son. Do not surrender. I might try a charge here. Not just because I think it's the right thing to do, but for you guys to see what a charge looks like. Let's go for it. Bayonets! Vive la France! Test, 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 test. Thanks, guys. Sorry about that. Let's hope it's working now. Yeah, I missed a lot. So who's talking about spawning states? I think what Muso was referring to is, yeah, you can absolutely rearrange the, how can I put this? You can rearrange the formations to look like any number of things. And in fact, there's some not so friendly screenshots, if you want to go look for them, of these units rearranged in certain symbols that you could probably imagine. So yes, you can. I mean, the formations, that's one thing I love about it, is you can really mess with them. You can mess around with these formations, change them, etc. Got a nice little cross here, but it's going to be a cross of death. Forward. Keep moving these guys as well. Grab these guys over here on the right, move them to the enemy left flank. I think we can break this unit pretty easily. I'm more worried about the units back here. We've got some Landwehr units, a lot of dangerous units. So we're going to move up, but we're going to be careful. I think we should be able to break these guys, though. No, not that direction, you fools. I will send you back to the academy. Let's actually pull out and get a nicer look here at the field. Now these guys, I don't know why, but they're not moving up quite the way I want them to. We might need to have the general order these guys to start moving. The rest of them are doing fine, but we got a few units here that are a bit insubordinate. We also can't get too close to the enemy because they actually hold the high ground here, firing down at us, so as soon as our men spot them, they start to fire. Forward. Take these guys as well, and okay, we're gonna approach the British. And I'll take these two units and focus on the British entirely. Got a nice British unit right there. Let's see how we're doing against the fort. I think we should have broken it by now, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, we haven't broken it yet. We're still firing. Look at this. Our guys are still trying to take that fort. And like I said, trying to charge I don't think is going to work. Our men are not going to follow through with a charge on a fortified building. So we got to get more guys forward. Maybe move our artillery even closer, although look at this. They're right on top of this fort. Just letting them have it at this point. Fire away, boys. Show no mercy. You guys look way past the fort up there in the hills. There are a lot of other enemy units. And this is once again why I recommend if you're a new player to the game, you start small. Do not start with brigades of this size. It's madness. We actually just had a unit retreat there. That's one of our units giving up. You know, we just have been hit way too many times. No, wait, never mind. That's an enemy unit giving up. Victory! That's not our unit, but they're running towards our lines. I guess they're trying to surrender. Here we go. Got to take out these British in front of us. Got some regiment of foot, the rifles. For some reason, this unit, especially with the uniform, always reminds me of Sharp's rifles. I don't know if any of you have seen that show, but always reminds me of it. Like, this is Sharp's brigade. They're in a nasty little gully here. And it actually might defend them a bit in a weird way. Seems counterintuitive, but that gully might be protecting them. So I'm actually going to order them to do a nice volley fire on the enemy. There we go. Nice shocking fire, basically. Show them that we have superior firepower in this situation. Look at them, man. They are tough. They're dropping like flies, but they refuse to fall back. That commander is just stoic. He's just standing there. Don't worry, man. You'll be fine. Of course, he's lying to them because they're not going to be fine, but it's the commander's job. All right, let's keep moving forward. Here we go. We're getting closer here to the point, and our general is just kind of hanging out there in front of the enemy. Not the best place to be, admittedly. But you got to start somewhere, right? Might send two entire squadrons of units over here to the right side. So I think we're just going to start ignoring these Prussians. You know, we've damaged them enough. They've lost a lot of men. And we're not going to take any victory points by defeating them. But we can't let them keep firing. And actually, I was wrong. This is a Dutch brigade. This is not a Prussian brigade. The white flag definitely confused me a bit there. White and black, which are the Prussian colors, of course. Might as well push up. Hey, Araman, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Araman is the moderator over at my channel, and I would say him and Muso are probably the best two mods to have on any stream. Go ahead and move up here. Try to get here on the enemy left flank once again. We're just trying to get as close as we can to the enemy. But with the positioning they have here on the road, it's tough. I mean, this is actually, believe it or not, a defendable location. You know, the bushes make a big difference in these kind of battles. They really do. Forward. You go to the fort. Even at the fort here, we can already see a lot of men down. So the enemy is definitely taking a beating. But that could also be dead enemies from the retreat. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how these guys are managing to spot the enemy, but keep moving over here. Come on, men, we need your help elsewhere. Kill them fast. Here we go. Come on, boys. Give them hell. Ooh, I think we need to get even closer. And this is such a nice position, too. I mean, we're right on the hill. But we might need to get a bit closer. Can we spot them? No. So usually if you could spot a unit, you see a little target appear above them. If you don't see that target, chances are your guys aren't seeing the unit. You can actually see a few of them standing up here. You can see they've definitely lost some men. It's not like they've just been in there not taking any damage. But we need to increase that damage. Still not seeing them. Man, that's weird. Oh, no, there we go. Now we see them. Good work, boys. Fire at will. Look at those light foot infantry. They are still standing up against us. The gall. The unmitigated gall of this unit to think that they have the right to defend themselves. But why? Alright, we're going to take this unit. I see those Prussians have pulled out. So we're going to send this unit this way. Yeah, the Prussians definitely are not interested in sticking around for that. And I think that's the right move. We were taking chunks out of their entire force there. Or excuse me, the Dutch. That's right, they are not Prussians. So at this point, we're actually engaging with the enemy artillery. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. Although I'd rather fire at this unit, so we could change our direction to do that. But then again, killing the artillery is probably a very important thing. I'm almost tempted to charge, but when I see all these other units, I get scared. Now, these actually, they're wearing the colors almost of the British. But as far as I know, these are not British units. This is the Landwehr Bataillon Munden, the Hanover Brigade. I believe these are the British units that are mercenaries of the British. Again, I'm guessing here. You Grognards know a lot better than I do. That's why we always love it when you guys are at these streams, because you can correct my mistakes. And there we go. We managed to push back this unit. They took a nasty beating. And mostly just from one unit here. So this unit was really the one, and our artillery, that delivered most of the damage there. Alright, so these guys are finally moving forward. I'm not sure why we're having such difficulty with this group. But we're going to keep trying to move them forward. Oh, nasty artillery fire. I want to see some dead cannons. We'll come back for you, men. Don't worry. Halt. Let's get a nice volley fire. I think this unit will break very soon. Can't hold out against this kind of enemy fire. Oh, yeah, look at that. without eventually breaking. Now, we did take out a few. Look at that. Nice. We're getting a few of these cannoneers. I'm not sure if it's artillerymen or cannoneers, which would be proper. But we're definitely getting shots on them. That's a very good sign. Getting rid of, obviously, enemy artillery would be hugely important in this battle, if we're able to do it. Let's take a look here at the chat. Ah, Wavell, that's what it was. I knew there was something about that. I mistook and said Prussia, but that's what it was. So Hanover. That's what it was. Yes. So they got some Hanoverian, I guess, troops to assist. Closer with canister. Thanks, dogs. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Ah, use the skirmishers. So that's, and for the skirmishers, let me just jump in here pretty quick. I'm pretty sure you right-click and we detach. We unsplit. Is it unsplit unit? We can't split this one. I believe that's how you break off a few units to become a skirmisher unit. But dogs will probably be able to give us even better tips here. Forward. Going to move along the road and hopefully get some of these defensive properties. I'm going to take this artillery and just put it right up against the fort. Like, right in front of the fort. Let's take a look here. Ah, you need to split a skirmisher unit. Not just any unit. John Kaminsky says, this looks like fun. Very cool. Ah, yellow flags are Nassau. So keep in mind, guys, Hanover, Nassau, these places. In this particular time period, there was not a united Germany. Of course, Prussia was quite large, but there were a lot of these smaller countries, sort of Hanover, Westphalia, a lot of different places that had more or less their own cultural identity. So quite interesting there. Let's see if maybe we might be able to move this guy into the fort at this point. Yeah, the enemy's running. Look at that, guys. We've taken the fort. Look at that. Vive la France. Get out of here. Oh, they are running for their lives. All right, at this point, we're moving into the fort. I'm going to use some of these units and start hitting Sharp's rifles. That's what we're calling the enemy unit right there from now on. Go in. Come on, boys. Be quick about it. Should be spotting the enemy unit now. No, we might need to get a bit closer there. There we go. Now we can definitely spot them. Hold here, boys. And volley fire. My fault, sorry. They're still not firing. That's weird. Don't be shy, men. It's a battle. We all shoot each other. It's okay. It's all part of the fun. Ah, sorry, guys. Wait a minute. No, that's not me. There you go. Finally. Boom. Nice hit on the enemy. Although these guys are very strong. This area has got to be giving them some sort of defensive bonus, because there should be a lot more of them dead at this point. You can actually see some of the artillery there spiking off the ground. Prepare to fire! Good shooting. Take a look here at the chat. Yes, exactly, Damien. Well said. Most of the British unit was dead. Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of casualties at Glycerine. We've been attacking that unit since the beginning, basically. Interesting, yes, absolutely. Yeah, Dogs of War makes a great point, and we were talking about that earlier. If you guys take a look at the flags on the units, some of them will actually have names of battles they've participated in. You can probably assume that a unit that's participated in a lot of battles is going to be more experienced than one that's been in like 1 or 2, or sometimes none. Really depends. Oh, very cool. So we've already got a few buyers here. Very, very happy about that. Alright, here we go. And the fort officially has the beautiful tricolor on top. Beautiful. So we've taken the fort. That's just one victory location, though. We've got a lot more to take. And that's why, once again, don't play this if you're new to the game. Because even I'm sort of having some trouble here. And I've played the game before. In fact, I play it quite a lot. I'm not as gifted as Dogs of War. Dogs of War is just a master at this game. He's sort of mentioning the skirmishers. I know how to detach skirmishers, but only from this battalion here, which can be a little frustrating. Let's actually just split it 25%, and we'll take this unit, this skirmisher unit, and move them forward a bit. But it looks like we're getting okay shots on the enemy. I would like to get a bit closer, though, with our infantry. Gotta be careful, though. All those Brits laying down, they're not dead. They're waiting for a fight. Here we go. Bring this artillery up. We should have done this before. But sometimes you don't want to bring the artillery up because, you know, they're currently providing us with support. So if we bring them up, they're not going to be supporting us as much, at least for the time being. Come on, boys. This unit has been so brave, but unfortunately, I think they're going to be losing pretty soon. By the way, somebody was asking about casualties earlier. You can see casualties after the battle, but you can actually just look here. So right here, this represents the casualties we've actually received ourselves, and this bottom number represents the enemy casualties. So this unit, for instance, has taken more casualties than it's dished out, and we can even see that sort of, if we look at the ground, there's a lot of men down in this area. So with this unit, I'm actually just going to turn them towards the enemy. There we go. C'est très joli. In fact, we're going to charge. Oh no, I didn't want them charging this unit. Oh well. Let's go for it. Move these guys up as well. Come on, boys. For the tricolor. For France. There we go. Our boys are definitely jumping in here into the battle. Come on. We already see a few of the enemy units going down. Come on, men. Show no mercy. Come on! Oh, this is a nasty fight. Each side is just as determined to kill the other side. They're not giving up, we're not giving up. This is a fight to the death. Now, believe it or not, you can take prisoners in this game, so occasionally with these combats this close, one of the sides will eventually surrender. Right now, neither of these guys look like they're willing to surrender. In fact, it looks like this bayonet guy is actually stabbing some dead bodies, making sure they're down. Keep it up, boys. And we won! Yes! Beautiful! Here at the lane, we won. This will henceforth be called the lane, the bloody lane. Unfortunately, our men were just as terrified, and they're pulling back as well. So actually, neither of us won, really. We just had a nasty, nasty fight with bayonets. And now we're running in terror from the adrenaline of it all. Just look at that. That is... oh, that's nasty. You can barely tell the French from the enemy because they're wearing quite similar uniforms. But the French actually are wearing a darker blue, whereas the enemy's wearing that light blue... silly light blue color. The color of a traitor, of course. Alright, let's keep moving. Actually, we should be careful. Because now the enemy is definitely firing at us from this location. I think we should go ahead and meet them. Oh, I told you they would eventually split, and these guys are splitting from the battle. Let's move up this way. Don't run away, men. You have so much to live for. Actually, that would be a good reason to run away. Here we go. Steady march, boys. Wow, a lot of enemy units there, and we've got the Highlanders! The Highlanders! These guys are really, really good. Let's take a quick look here at these Highlanders. These guys are incredible. And I've had Highlanders playing as the allies myself occasionally. I've had Highlanders survive what no other unit could in terms of casualties. Just, you know, basically losing half of their men and fighting just like nothing happened. So this Highlander unit right here, really nice flags too on all of the units in the game, but I love being able to just see those colors on the battlefield and sort of relive sort of what the men must have been thinking about trying to bring as much glory to those colors as possible. And I've got to be careful here because Dogs of War mentioned when these units are overlapping like they are here, that's going to give us a negative, an actual a defensive negative, so we want to be careful doing that. But we are targeting the enemy artillery in this area, and we're right on top of the victory point, so I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm going to move to the left just a little bit. Well, not move to the left, rotate to the left. And I'll move forward a bit. Should be good enough. Come on, boys. Fire. And charge! Now, this unit actually has a supply wagon coming here. And yes, you do occasionally need supply wagons to bring ammunition, etc. This unit looks really weak, so I'm going to see if we can't knock them out of the fight. They didn't learn their lesson the first time. We're going to have to teach them a second. And this unit right here, Brigade Schmitz, you know, Dogs of War was mentioning earlier how some units are more experienced than others. This is absolutely one of France's more experienced units. You can see they've participated in every battle. Austerlitz, Jena, Briedana, am I saying that correctly? Essing and Wagram. So really just a nasty, nasty unit in terms of damage potential. Let's see how they do. You can see here they've delivered 338 enemy casualties, which is not too shabby at all. Nice work. Yeah, that was quick. The enemy was not interested in fighting Brigade Schmitz, and I think they made the right choice there. Let's get these guys up over here on the Bloody Lane. The enemy seems to be massing for some sort of counterattack. Alright, this is a beautiful position. Now, it's not so beautiful for this unit that's out front and, you know, basically in the thick of things, but somebody's got to be the sacrificial lamb for us to succeed here. As you can see, this unit's also getting some really nice shots here on the enemy. This is the unit, of course, that won that close combat round. Unfortunately, this area seems a bit more difficult to take. Come on, boys. We better move that general back. If that enemy unit touches it, the general's going down. Move, move, move. This is one way to get a general killed, and he's down. He's down. Yep, general is down. So you guys want to see what a dead general looks like. And thankfully, Dogs of War mentioned they respawn. But there he is. He's got 1 foot still in the saddle. It's actually a bit comical, but I'm sure if you were actually seeing this with your own eyes, it wouldn't be so comical. Suddenly your leader is reduced to, you know, just a dangling corpse. Here we go. Come on, guys. Oh, nasty volley fire there. They're not giving up without a fight. Not even a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and actually pause just a bit here. So we're pressing the pause button. And of course the hotkey for pause is P. So pretty simple hotkey to remember. And I think we want to go ahead and decide what to do next. We have to get a nice read of the battlefield. I'm actually going to let you guys get a read on it and sort of decide what you would do. I'm going to go ahead and zoom up here as much as I can and just move back. Looks like over here on the right side we've got more men. On the left they've taken a lot of hits, but we've also got some men back there still near the fort. So we should probably be moving them forward. Almost certainly. Let me see if I can find the general in charge here of the artillery. I want to move them towards this line. And it also looks like those British light infantry finally moved back. That's good to hear. Let's go ahead and take that position. like the location of these cannons, honestly, so I'm leaving them right where they are. Well, actually, you know what? As the battle changes, you must change as well. You know, Sun Tzu's got his own Book of War. My Book of War just has silly quotes that are rarely correct, but occasionally strike home. I think that's probably one of them. We'll wait and see. Alright, so let's take a look actually at the damage we did here. I'm going to pause because I don't want everything happening around us while we're, you know, just inspecting this area. The enemy took a lot of hits here, but I have to say for the amount of men, or the amount of time, really, that they stood out here, the amount of men they lost was not that significant. I would guess that's maybe like 100. You know, if even, maybe more like 50 or 60. Yeah, it's not a lot. Keep firing, boys. Just because the pause button has been pressed does not mean you can stop firing. You cannot even die without my approval, men. I've always hated, like, cheesy war movie lines like that. You know, you certainly see a lot of silly lines in war movies. But one of the ones that I hate the most, and I've heard it in at least 3 or 4 war films, is when, like, a soldier's dying on the field, and the commander comes up, and he's trying to comfort this guy who's clearly in, like, severe pain and, you know, close to death, and he just goes, "Son, you can't die without my permission." And it's just like, come on, just, you know, don't say that. It sounds brave and all that in a film, but in an actual battle, I don't think you'd want to say that to a wounded soldier. Probably want to, you know, start tending to his wounds. That would be a good start as soon as possible. All right, we're making a major push here. A lot of our men are pulling back. Look at this. Ooh, insubordination. No, they're just realigning themselves. Let's go. Come on. About time, boys. Okay, they can already spot them from here, but I want them to get a little bit closer. No, get a little bit closer. Don't get so excited. You'll get your chance to fire. Relax. As you can see, these guys have only participated in and Wagram, so I don't expect them to be as good in combat. I'm going to let them do some volley fire here. Preparing. Let loose, boys. Nice. Nice little shot there, back on the volley fire. So what I did there is I didn't wait for all of them to fully reload. You can sort of wait for 60-70% of your men to reload and fire that way. That's generally what I do. Or you can just leave it on volley fire and they will only fire when they're all reloaded. But that can be a bit confusing. I usually use volley fire to sort of shock an enemy unit while still using, you know, fire at will with my other units. That's kind of what we're doing right now. And these guys are taking some nasty hits. Look at that. They're dropping. They're definitely dropping. Very quickly. It's good for us. Oh, and our cannons have arrived. Bonjour. My friends have arrived. I'm so happy. All right, let's get this guy a little bit closer. This one too. But yes, we definitely have sight on the enemy. And we are firing away at that unit with our cannons. That's how they've gotten those casualties. That has not been done by our infantry. These casualties have been caused by artillery fire. Gotta love that effective artillery fire. Boom! Oh! And I think some of the most terrifying stuff you can encounter, at least speaking to veterans, is incoming fire. You know, when you've got not necessarily incoming rifle fire, which of course is terrifying on a completely different level, but just incoming fire from mortars, from artillery. You don't know where it's coming from. You have no idea where it's going to hit next. A lot of soldiers break when that happens. And actually, you can see that unit over there. Look at that. They broke a little bit. We're going to charge very soon here, and I'm charging with a fairly inexperienced unit, but I'm going to support them with this brigade. So the grand charge begins. In the meantime, I'm going to grab these guys. They're very experienced. Brigade Grenier, and I'm going to move them over here so that they get a nice position of fire once we win this particular fight. Look at that. You should run now, guys. I would recommend you look at these guys moving back. They're like, oh, yep, sure enough. What did I tell you guys? I expected that. I saw that coming from a mile away. Get out of here. And we're on the victory point, guys. So now we have a definite chance of taking this right victory point. We've now taken one, obviously, with the fort. I think we're about to take the one on the left, and we're going to take the one on the right as well. Ah, thanks, Dogs of War. So take command. Yeah, that's certainly important, especially when you're playing battles with like AI units or AI allied units, basically. Their inexperience will just make them more enthusiastic. No worries. A good point. Yeah, Muso, I think you said it there. So, by taking command, you mentioned you can also unit rally with this. So, when you say take command, does this essentially mean that they won't, stop? Because they've been stopping quite a lot. See, I learn something new every day from Dogs of War. So, I just took command of that unit. So, hopefully now they will not stop until I tell them to. They generally, the AI is smart enough to know when they should stop attacking. But I'm going to try and take that power away from them. I want to attack this area. Here we go. Move, boys. Going to be a lot of charges going on here, especially as we approach the enemy. Oh my goodness, they're getting on our right flank. Luckily, our artillery is getting some shots on them, and we're going to move this unit over here, but we definitely need some reinforcements. Where are you? There you are. Beautiful. Take a look really quickly here. Oh, that makes sense. Thank you, dogs. The historical personality of the general falls away. So that's really interesting. So that explains even more how specific this game is. In other words, what you're saying is that like these individual commanders, when they pull back, stuff like that, when they're not as aggressive as you want them to be, that's how the actual general was in the battle. And that makes sense because, as you guys have seen, we've had a lot of groups of units that have kept the attack going, and we've had several groups of units that have, well, basically been kind of slackers. Kind of stand back, they don't really do much, they watch from afar, and they're not a big help. So I like that. Now let's go ahead. Where is the General? There he is. Move, boys. Battle is nasty right now, but this is not even the worst in terms of casualties. Especially one of the DLC for this game that I really like is Wavre. And basically Wavre is I believe a Belgian village, if I'm not mistaken. And basically, if you play as the, sorry, readjusting here, guys. If you play as the Allies, the British, in that particular battle, you have to defend against a French assault, which actually happens across a bridge. And by the end of that battle, I have just seen the entire town of Wavre near the bridge. Not the entire town, but, the area near the bridge. So maybe like a sixth of the town completely covered in bodies. Just completely covered in enemy bodies. Guys are finally putting in their work, and now of course this is neutral. So now, as you can see, the victory point is neutral. If the battle were to end right now, it would go to neither of us. So we'll have to see. Taking a look here at the comments, man, this, I gotta say, guys, first of all, thanks so much to thanks so much to everybody for showing up to the stream. We've got 50 people at this stream. And actually, our boss didn't think that we would get this many people, because Scourge is admittedly a much older game than a lot of the newer stuff we've been putting out lately. But it still has, as I said initially, a very, very large user base, and we can see here a lot of people jumping into the stream that haven't seen it before, saying this looks awesome. And I agree with you, it does look awesome. That's why we love it so much. So I had a feeling we were going to get a lot of viewers for this stream, and I'm glad that I was correct. Vive la France and vive Scourge of War. Here we go. Moving up again. And also, speaking of which, those of you guys that are on our YouTube channels, please, for today, join us on our Twitch channels. You know, just so we can see if we have even more than 50 people watching. And I can actually see from the restream information how many people are watching all at once. We've got that power. It looks like we've got 3 people on one of our YouTube channels, 2 on another. Not many. I think most of the people have migrated here to Twitch. And that's definitely partly due to, you know, Muso adding the really cool roulette and basically allowing you guys to, you know, have fun while you're here. Not just have fun watching the actual battle, but also have fun interacting with one another, playing games, etc. In fact, I'd like to bring in more of the sort of, you know, roulette stuff. I'm not sure if we... I saw something, and I was showing it to Muso. This was a few months back. And it was basically like an RPG, where basically you can play an RPG in the chat. And I don't know how that would happen, of course, but I think that would be hilarious if, like, for instance, you know, if you stay in the chat long enough, like, you choose, like, a level 1 warrior, it becomes a level 2 warrior. Maybe you can, like, go on quests instead of doing roulette, and, you know, whether you succeed or fail, you might gain a level, lose a level. I just think that would be fun. I don't know how we'd actually initiate it. It might be a lot more complex to install than just roulette. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but it could be cool for us to try it out. And guys, we're going up against the Highlanders now, so we have to be very careful here. These are the toughest of the tough, and they've got 2 entire brigades of them. These are the Royal Highland Regiment, the Foot, the Black Watch. Winter is coming, boys. Here we go. It's almost like the Night's Watch, but deadlier. Much deadlier, because they've got muskets. Here we go. Firemen. I want to see some Highlanders dropping. There's one. First one. And trust me, these guys are like Chuck Norris. He takes a bullet to the chest. He'll probably just yank it out later and have a nice tall glass of beer. But actually, look at that. Look at that. They just look so cool. Devastating fire. I think these guys can stop right here. That's enough against Highlanders. I don't want them moving up anymore. Now, have we taken the location? Not quite yet. Not quite yet. We're still fighting over it. Told you, these battles can take hours, guys. I mean, we're already, what is it, a minute and 20 minutes in, a minute, or an hour and 20 minutes into this stream at this point. You know, we've come quite a ways. So, this game does not end, you know, within a few minutes. Although... and this is, again, why I recommend that the newer players try smaller units or smaller groups of units. In those battles, those can take 10, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how you fight them. They're not going to be as long as this one. You know, we took one of the longer portions of the battle, Counter Lons attack, and even look at that. I mean, there's so much left. We've still got enemy units approaching way back there. We're just focusing on this area here. It just shows you the scale of the Battle of Waterloo. In its entirety. Remember, this is not the entire Battle of Waterloo. This is a portion of the Battle of Waterloo. So this is just one part of the battle. When you think about that and you just consider it, it really makes you wonder, you know, how many men were involved in this battle, you know, how many were wounded. Obviously, we got wonderful Wikipedia, which can tell us that these days, but when you really try and think about it, it's kind of frightening. Did that more... Are those more Highlanders? Oh my goodness, there are more Highlanders here. Thankfully, these guys are turned away. I think they're enjoying watching these cannons fire. I can't decide, but yeah, they're just like, oh, that's interesting. You guys have an interesting job. So hopefully we can sort of catch them off guard and start firing very soon here. Oh, nasty cannon fire, though. It's actually already striking us. Fire. Nice! We're hitting them with our cannons, too, guys. We just took a huge chunk out of the Highlanders. Look at that. Oh, man. Now, Dogs of War, what kind of shot would that be that would do that kind of damage? That can't just be a regular cannonball, can it? Put these guys on volley fire. I'm stacking. Shouldn't be stacking. Let me do this. Oh! Nice shooting, boys. Canister. Thanks, Dogs of War. So that's canister shot. So I guess essentially a bunch of metal thrown into a cannon and fired away. A bunch of little tiny metal rounds, about the size of a palm of your hand, just fired away in huge clusters at the enemy. Man, the weapons used are terrifying. The weapons that humans are managed to come up with to kill one another just really amazes me. And I've even heard, I'm not sure if you could do it with Napoleonic cannons. I'm guessing you probably could, but for instance, a bit off topic, the pirate Blackbeard would often not fire grape shot or anything like that, or even round shot. He would actually take nails, wood, chunks of wood, shards of glass, stuff that into the cannons and fire it at the enemy ships, because he actually wasn't trying to sink the enemy ships, he was trying to take the crew alive, take all of the gold on the ships, usually capture the ships themselves. So he didn't want to damage them too much, which is really interesting stuff when you think about that. Just being able to fire that at the enemy and what that would do to a group of units clustered on a ship. Yeah, that would be pretty nasty. Old Blackbeard. I'm moving forward with these guys. Just don't think they're getting a good enough shot from back here. Alright, halts. Fire at will. These guys are not doing nearly as good a job as the rest of our troops, and it makes sense, because once again, they're not as experienced. We can tell by the battles here. Definitely not as experienced as the rest of the men. Now, we could do a charge, but I'm not sure if it would be a good idea. So we're going to do it. That's the Agrippa's, Maxentius way of leading an army. We're going to go ahead and try the charge. I'm imagining that this enemy is just as terrified as we are. They've lost a lot of men over there on the left flank. Maybe we can break through. Charge, boys. Get some support there on the charge. And just to make sure it's actually going to work out, we will put these guys over here on the, I guess the location that this unit was just at. Here we go. And they definitely got a few volleys off before we hit them. So this might actually be victory to the enemy. Because it looks like there's more redcoats here than there are of our men. Come on, boys. This will be your third battle. You will win honor and glory for France if you will remain. And look at that. Looks like the enemy general is running away. Charles Louis Bress. Oh my goodness. We won. We won, guys. We definitely won. Now, I don't think this unit is going to last much longer, because they've just lost a ton of men. But that's pretty impressive. Good job. Here we go. Nice volley fire right into their backs. Oh, that had to hurt. No mercy, men. Major defeats! There we go, guys. So we've suffered a major defeat. We just weren't able to take the locations as quickly as we wanted to, unfortunately. Grievous mistakes were made on Battlefield Commanders at all levels. That's me. We're going to take a look here at the stats. So let's take a look. If we see the experience, 100, enemy casualties, 4,444. Our casualties, 4,414. It was really because we didn't have as many victory points as the enemy. We took the, we took the fort, but we didn't take the central field. We didn't take the field on the right in time. In other words, we had to move a lot faster in this particular battle to be able to do well. Now, as you can see, the one cool thing, if you feel like it, even after you lose a battle, you can go ahead and keep fighting. You know, you don't need to stop right away. So you could basically just keep fighting for hours to see what the battle will eventually look like. We're not going to do that here. We still have time in the stream, so I want to look at one of the DLCs. But I will go ahead and do a quick tour of the battlefield for you guys, so you can see just the amount of bodies that have piled up. And let us know in the comments. I want to hear your opinion, guys, on what you think about the game so far, especially those of you that have never seen it before. Do you like the way it looks? Do you like the action involved? Do you like the bodies on the field, etc., etc.? We definitely want some feedback on Scourge of War Waterloo. Okay, let's get to Wavre. These men have fought enough this day. Ending the battle. And we shall exit the battle. The battlefield... Oh, we didn't even get to read that. Gaming computers, too fast. Let's take a look here. The Emperor will personally visit the defeatist field to explain how much of an idiot he is. Keep pushing, exactly. Not enough toasters. Looks like a cool series. I wouldn't mind getting it at some point, says B. Vargas. Yeah, that's the annoying part. We were just about to run and take the victory point. I still think we would have lost, though, because we would have had 2 victory points and the enemy would have had 3. Well, actually, one of them was contested, so maybe we could have gotten a draw. Certainly let the bodies hit the floor. Nice reference there. Nice reference there. Very well-known song. Disturbed? It's Disturbed, isn't it? Pretty sure. Man, that really brings me back. I remember listening to that as a kid. The good old days. Let's take a look here. Waterloo battle. So, guys, we're going to look at one of the DLC here. And actually, I'll let you guys decide. So, if you could, Musso, make a little straw poll for us. Quatre bras, Ligny, and Wavre. And see what people want to see, essentially. And we'll take a look at one of these DLC. Just a quick look. We'll play as the Allies this time, I believe. I really liked what I saw. It says Cloud Cuckoo Lander. Very cool. How would we do that, Dogs of War? Can you tell us here? Well, I guess we have to be in a battle. So, Musso, the 3 scenarios, I'll show you here on the screen. Hold on. It's Quatre Bras. These are just DLC. Quatre Bras, Ligny, and Wavre. So these are the maps of the different battles, guys. Ligny is a very bloody one, but surprisingly enough, it's not my favorite. And I think the reason it's not my favorite is because in Wavre, you get to defend against a massive French force attacking you, and you have a town. So you basically get a lot of like defensive bonuses. You can hold bridges, and you know, for me, I really like defending a town. I don't know what it is about that. Maybe watching Saving Private Ryan too many times, but I really just like that idea. I think it's a cool idea, and it's fun. Let's take a look here. Ah, very cool. Ariman shared some really cool information here. It was Drowning Pool. See, look how old I am. Gosh. What is wrong with me? I'm getting so old. I'm 28. Let's take a look here. Oh, yeah, if you buy this game, take a look at the Kriegsspiel mod and download it. I absolutely agree. And actually, if you could, Musso, maybe share the just the forums so that anybody interested in looking at the mods can head over there and check them out. The forums are a great way to get new suggestions for mods. And maybe the next time we play Scourge of War, we will maybe do some mods. We'll take a look at some mods. Even some of the skin mods are really good. Some of the skin mods are quite interesting. Take a look here very soon at the straw poll. Do have some saved games here that I might want to take a look at, but nah, we'll jump into the DLC. We've got some save games with some massive battles, like the entire Battle of Waterloo, the midpoint. Because of the name, very cool. Thanks so much, Musso. Alright, I'm going to vote on this straw poll, too. Yeah, Wavre wins. So this is actually really close. Ligny didn't get much praise, although I'm not putting Ligny down. It's actually probably the biggest of all of them, I think, if you just look at the battlefield itself. So we're going to go for Wavre, guys. We are going to play as just a division of the Prussian Corps. Just a division. Tiny little division. We have to try and delay the French advance. That's it. Really simple mission. This is probably the kind of size I would recommend for a new player. Basically a corps. Just, just take a smaller group of units. Don't try and focus on an entire army at once. And if you are going to, once again, it's much harder for me to get a positive result in a battle when I'm streaming at the same time. If you're going to do that, make sure to just read the manual first. It's certainly something I need to do. I've read the manual a few times, but I learn something new every day with this game. I really do. Like just what Dogs of War is mentioning, it's incredible the amount of depth that this game holds. Right now I'm waiting for the courier to arrive, although he might not arrive. Usually a courier will ride up to you and give you a message detailing exactly what you need to do in the battle. In this case, that doesn't seem to be the case, so that's cool. We'll defend this area. Basically, our goal is to defend against that French force. You see, guys? I think you guys may be starting to see why I love Wavre so much. We have to defend against that massive French force off there in the distance. There we go. So the courier arrived. French forces have appeared on the hills, Oberst von Luck und Witten, facing the town of Wavre. Enemy artillery is already bombarding the town. We can expect an infantry assault at any time. The enemy unit must not be allowed to cross to the north side of the river. Hold the Sablon area as long as practical. You must hold the Grand Point area at all costs. The Sablon, I don't know, I'm starting to think Sabaton, which, by the way, is great music to listen to while you're playing. I just want to put that out there. Put on some Sabaton. Play some Scourge of War. Alright, we're moving these guys up as well. Now, this over here, I believe, is a skirmisher unit, if I'm not mistaken. And I really like the look of this unit. It looks very modern, actually. Fusilier Bataillon. So, we've got these cannons here. They're obviously going to fire... Or, sorry, we've got some cannons. And I believe we might have a skirmisher unit, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so this is a skirmisher unit right here. And we are going to basically try and put them over here by the trees. Not sure if this is going to increase their chances of survivability much, but let's see. Move, boys. And this is the advancing French army. Look at that. The Grande Armée is on the way. Oh, that's terrifying. So this is one of the reasons I love Wavre, knowing we have to defend against this massive force, hold a town, and it's basically, it's a challenge, number one. But it's just, I love that feeling of having to defend an area against a much stronger foe, and in this case, the enemy is much stronger than we are. And we do have some decent skirmisher units, which helps in this battle. Skirmisher units can actually effectively hold off, entire battalions for quite a while. Just because, they basically fire a little bit, pull back, fire a little bit, pull back, etc. And that can actually really affect the enemy. So let's go ahead and we're running into position. The bugles are also great. As you can see, they're not getting a commander bonus. They're not close to the commander. The closer you are to the commander, you are going to get a commander bonus. That's one reason to always keep those generals as close to your men as possible. Now, here we go. This will be the first volley very soon here. Our guys can definitely see the enemy. I'm actually going to turn them to the left a bit. No, let them have their fun. Keep it up, boys. Let's see how many of the enemy our men can drop just in these next few minutes. Bring these guys forward as well. And unfortunately, these two lines are not going to stand very long against the enemy. But we still got these guys over here, and I believe we do receive reinforcements during this battle at some point. But I'm not for a second going to move these guys out of the town. They're here in the town. This seems like a pretty defensible location, so we're keeping them here. We will, however, move the Fusilier battalions forward to get some early shots on the enemy. Try to basically pick off a few enemies before they get to our lines. Run, boys. Hold. Knock them back into the river. Get out of here. Actually, these two groups are doing a great job against the enemy. For that many Frenchmen, and as you can see, they're pretty confused. They're sort of trying to move around here and outmaneuver us, but they're not sure what they're doing, and a few of them are definitely dropping. Keep it up, boys. Now with these units, especially the Fusiliers, I highly recommend fire at will. That's just how they perform. They perform much better that way than they do with a volley fire, especially when we're just trying to kill as many of these guys as possible in the shortest span of time. Let them have their fun. Long live Prussia! Death to the French! Oh boy, one of our guys just went down there. I'm actually going to go for a quick volley fire here. Just because we can actually get a flanking shot on the enemy there. I want to move these guys a little bit to the right. Fire. I want them to focus mainly on this unit here. More specifically, the Brigadier Genjou. Keep it up, boys. Keep it up. And interestingly enough, look at this unit. This French unit, this is their first battle. So maybe we could actually knock them back. Yeah, look at that. They actually are fixing their formation. Our guys are retreating a bit. But that unit could easily be knocked back. Look at that. Good work, boys. What I'm going to do now is fall back. So the AA is doing a great job of spreading out here, and as you can see, they've got reinforcements arriving. To stop them is going to be very difficult. We've got 1, 2, 3 units of infantry. We could, of course, approach the front of the village and begin the fight, but, of course, the victory point lies behind us, so I might just stay put, get a little defensive bonus here and hope for the best. As you can see, our guys are still firing away at the enemy. They're moving back, but they're not stopping the battle. They're not fighting. They're firing as they're pulling back. Of course, that is costing them dearly. When you have the enemy clustered together like that, I could probably imagine, even though these are not mini balls, these are just basically, just a circular ball. I'm sure these could go through 1 or 2 guys. If you've got a group clustered up, not all the time. Most of the times I think these bullets, as soon as they hit bone, would probably stop or shatter the bone and basically stop there. But if they went through a unit in a huge cluster like that, that could potentially be deadly for another enemy unit. As you can see, yeah, these guys are definitely pulling back. They've pulled back over here, and we could actually start sort of a second ambush position. Put some of these guys over here in the bushes, for instance, and keep these guys over here by this house. So that's what we're going to do, and sort of just halt their advance for as long as we can. That's what we're trying to do. Remember, that's the actual mission in this particular battle, is to halt the enemy as long as possible. Obviously, you want to halt them from taking the victory point, but if you can hold the victory point for the amount of time allotted, then you win the battle. It's that simple. That's another reason defensive battles are, for me, a little more fun. You've got to work a little harder to win an offensive battle, especially in the Napoleonic era. Unless, in this case, for instance, you're playing as the French and you outnumber the enemy dramatically, which they do right now. But look at this. We've also got some cavalry units. I told you guys we were going to get some reinforcements, and sure enough, we got some cavalry reinforcements here. The Kurmisches Landwehr Cavalry Regiment. Now, the thing about this game and cavalry, if you want to use them, you have to use them extremely, extremely well. It's not as simple as just, oh, I'm going to go ahead and use them. And actually, we're not commanding this cavalry right now. It's commanded by the AI. But the thing about the game is that, and the period as well, is that, you know, the square formation at this time period was well known, all right? So people knew about the square formation. If cavalry was advancing on your position, then obviously you would form a square and begin firing. It's very effective at, of course, stopping the enemy cavalry, and pretty much wipes them out very quickly. So if you try to charge an enemy unit with your cavalry and you're not close enough, your cavalry is going to more or less get wiped out very quickly. They're going to take some major losses. And in this case, I don't have to take the responsibility of the cavalry because the AI is going to take that responsibility. But just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game. That's good. That's good. Stop there. Enemy's got some skirmishers out right now. And as you can see, they've got the split battalion. So, as Dogs of War was mentioning, he doesn't do the split battalion, which is basically right-clicking on your unit and seeing if you can split the unit to create skirmishers. I think he probably uses a different method, but that's how I've always done it. I don't see anything wrong with it, except that occasionally you might right-click over here and order your unit forward. And yeah, that can be a bit of a pain. Come on, stop them! It's like asking them to stop a Mongol horde. It's not happening. At least not in this lifetime. Although, look at how many casualties the French have taken just at this point. I mean, we've definitely hurt them a bit. But it's sort of like putting a scratch on a tiger. It's not going to stop the tiger, it's just going to make it a lot angrier. This unit over here on the left is getting hit hard. Come on, boys. Enemy advancing. Oh! Canister shot right there. Yeah, that took down 4 or 5 men just in one blast. That was vicious. Why did you have to be so mean to us? That's a good point, Damien. That's a very good point. Again, when you're streaming, you've got to understand when you're streaming, you're not only thinking of things to say, you're paying attention to the battle at the same time. And sometimes you don't come across so well with the comments you make. No, absolutely. Yes, those spherical balls we were talking about. You know, that spherical globe. Like, yeah, that's evident. They didn't need to say it, Agrippa. We get it. It's a ball. It's not a... It's a sphere. Rectangular. Spheres are now rectangles. Alright, so I really wish these guys would start getting there on the enemy's left flank, but I think they know better than we do. We're going to let them go ahead and make their own decisions, and we are moving our units up to form a line here. Maybe it's better to stay in town. That could be the case, but we're going to find out pretty soon anyway. Look at the commander. The commanders are starting to kind of inch back a bit. When the commander starts to inch back, that's not a good sign. When he's kind of moving back, that's bad. That's really bad. Got enemy skirmishers moving up here. Look at that, look at that. He's doing his little... It almost looks like the moonwalk. He's moonwalking back and just saying, nope, I'm out of here. Lead by example, right? Alright, now we're going to put this guy right there. Yeah, that's good. This guy's going to be right here. I don't think the enemy's expecting us to really have many men in this particular area, and actually we should move them a bit more because we're overlapping with this unit a bit. And as Scourge of War rightly pointed out, that actually gives you a negative defensive penalty, unfortunately, if you have men overlapping. So you really want to try and keep them not necessarily like really far apart, just don't have them doing this. It's not proper for a gentleman to overlap with another gentleman's army. Now, of course, the issue here is we've lost the victory point, so we definitely should move back, because basically you need a certain amount of men to hold a particular location. That's what's happened here, so we are going to go ahead and grab our infantry and get them back here to retake the victory point. That's maybe one thing that's a little frustrating. You know, you don't really get to move forward and attack when the mission is to defend. If you do, you're probably going to lose the mission. But, again, it makes sense. And honestly, we're probably much better off in town anyway than we are out in the open field. Look at that there. It looks like they might be waiting for some of their reinforcements to arrive. I think they've all crossed, though. No, they've still got a lot of artillery back there, but the men have certainly crossed. Okay, they're getting close to our cavalry. I hope that cavalry commander knows what he's doing. Yeah, we're definitely not commanding the cavalry units. And as you can see now, we've retaken the victory point. We've kept one of these units out here, but this might not be the greatest idea. Fire away, boys! Gotta love Wavre. Okay, guys, well, we are getting to that magical time. Well, not really the most magical of times, and that's the end of the stream. It's actually the time we hate the most, but it's got to come eventually. Really want to, first of all, thank everybody for showing up. I've had a blast playing this game. This is probably one of the most enjoyable streams, so I also want to thank you guys for how you voted. I love playing Scourge of War Waterloo. It's just so much fun. But I'll say War in the East, which was the second place winner of the vote system, is another game that is really, really fun. And I think, in a way, it would be a much different experience, a much more relaxed experience than Scourge of War Waterloo. You know, I've been very animated during the stream because this is a very animated game. So much is going on, you know, at all times. And while so much is going on at all times in War in the East, you get to command things a lot slower. You know, we're talking about an entire army in War in the East, an entire front, actually. So it really allows you to take more time to kind of sort of think things out, etc. Now, obviously, you could do that in Wavre or in Scourge of War at any point. You just, of course, hit P, pause the game, take a look at the battlefield, to decide what you're going to do. You know, you could still do that, but there's a big difference in both games. They're both great, but very different games. So we definitely, you guys, I think you absolutely picked the right stream. And how much did Scourge of War win by, I wonder? I don't know if Muso can tell us. But I'm also glad we also got to show Scourge of War to a few people here who hadn't seen it before. Really appreciate that. No worries, Dogs of War. No problems at all, man. We know that you know a lot about this game, and we always appreciate working with you. Well, I think Brazuk is asking sort of how do you manage to play well in the game. I think just practice. Obviously, you want to make sure to, you know, read the manual, practice the game as much as you can. And in my case, you know, one of my biggest mistakes is timing. I wasn't moving fast enough. So, you know, what I was doing a lot of was like I wanted you guys to see the cool animations of the game, so I was zooming in on like the cool moments, which is great, and you can do that. But what I should have done is when I was zooming in on those moments, I should have paused, because what I could have done is I could have shown the cool moments, then I could have moved to the other 4 or 5 groups of brigades, you know what I mean, and moved them at the same time instead of sort of moving them little by little, which is what we were doing. Yes, we can definitely do a toolbar mod eventually, for sure. Easier for newer players. Thanks, dogs. Haha, thanks, Pixel. If you want to share some here with me and Muso that are fairly approachable, I'll absolutely, during this weekend, I'll give them a shot. I'll try them out and see how I do. I definitely want a scenario that is a bit simpler, where I don't have to command as much. And another question I have about the Commando series is, you know, if I know how to send like a plane out to bomb a location, do I then need to order the plane back to base to refuel, or is it going to know to do that on its own? You know, these are the questions about Commando that scare me, and that sort of push me away from the game a little bit. Future home is something quite cool. If you decide on a log to launch the site itself, your visitor check back soon. Oh, interesting. Shifting sands is great for a beginner. Very cool. So I think I'm gonna be taking a look at shifting sands this weekend for sure, guys. We've got to look at that. Okay, my friends, I want to thank everybody once again. This was such a cool stream. We definitely want to do some more of these user choice streams in the future, but I think maybe one rule me and Muso can have, sort of like the U.S. presidency, so hear me out here. The U.S. presidency, the president can only serve 2 terms. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do another voting system. We'll include Scourge of War again. If you guys vote for it again, no problem. We'll play again. Maybe we'll use some mods, but we obviously can't play Scourge of War every Friday. You know, that wouldn't really be fair. So I think if it serves 2 terms, we've got to wait at least a month before we put it up on the list. So if we get Scourge of War again, then maybe we'll take it off the list, we'll add a new game, and you guys can vote again. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Muso, for moderating. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and having fun. And thank you, most of all, the Awesome Dogs of War, because he actually helped me do better here in this battle. No worries, guys. Take care, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.